All right, yes, you read that right. The Affixes and M+ scene is changing again just before, the War Within comes in a couple weeks. But, I guess after the first initial changes, the Blizzard kind of took a step back and thought about something. So let's go take a look and see what they changed. All right, first let's just start with the affix update overview is what they say. So they're reducing the total number of mechanical affixes on a keystone for players progressing through the system from 2 to 1. The following, all right, calm down. The following affixes are being retired for the War Within: Sanguine, Bolstering, Raging, and Bursting. I think I can hear everybody cheering and jumping up and down about that, because let's say 75 to 100% of those we all hated. And then going back to my last video, which referenced the new affixes that they were giving a shot, but they've heard feedback that applying bonuses unevenly to players feels exclusionary regardless of overall impact. Affixes that were part of the last Mythic Keystone test will no longer apply to the Keystones. So that is Reckless, Focused, Attuned, and Thorned. So all the ones we learned about in the last video and kind of went over, they're gone. We're just going to throw those out the window like they never happened. I never had the chance to play them, but from what I was hearing from people putting stuff in the comments below, they all totaled up to be pretty trashy. So the one bucket of active affixes for players progressing through the system offers a variety along with positive effects for executing these affixes that apply more evenly. We're reintroducing thematic elements to affixes by invoking Xal'atath and Mythic Keystones with her own set of affixes. I think that's taking us back to Battle for Azeroth and maybe Shadowlands. Can't really remember. We just shoved that out of the way. So Battle for Azeroth definitely had some things at the end where the Void was kind of getting involved, or the old gods and stuff. So we're utilizing passive affixes to signpost expected increases in players' mastery and commensurate rewards as players progress through the Mythic Keystone system. Okay, and we're aiming to eliminate the push weeks by providing a consistent challenge that focuses solely on the dungeons for players seeking to advance deeper into Mythic Keystone system for scores and titles, which I am part of that group. I like to push my scores, push my whatever, and just try to become the best that I can be. And currently, right now, I believe there's one the week that we're in now. It's Fortified and Volcanic and something else. Can't remember. But that is considered the last good week to push Fortified. So can't complain about that. Now we're going to roll into the new affixes that we're going to get to have the chance to play. Since all those 8 are now thrown out the window, retired, and looking to better days, we're going to jump into the new affixes. Starting at Keystone Level 2, Xal'atath herself will manifest in dungeons, introducing a rotation of affixes under the banner of Xal'atath's Bargain. These affixes not only seek to empower the dungeon's denizens, but also grant players the opportunity to harness their effects. Okay, tell me more. For our first test this week, we will have 2 Xal'atath's Bargain affixes available. One affix is an event that players must deal with periodically, while the other affix is a passive effect on creatures throughout the dungeons, which was kind of part of the mix of the Thorn, the Reckless, where it would be, boost that, but then boost your select couple. So, the first one is Xal'atath's Bargain Ascendant. While in combat, Xal'atath rains down orbs of cosmic energy that attempts to empower nearby enemies, increasing their haste and movement speed. If players disrupt these orbs, they claim the effect for themselves. Okay, so as they're dropping, maybe you got to stand under them, maybe you got to kill the target that they're on, and then someone can run into them. I think it may be like the balls in Naku Defensive. Either way, it gives you something. If you do miss it, it won't be ruining the world because it's going to increase haste and movement speed. But that's never going to hurt your party to have a little bit more haste and thinking about it, like, those warlocks and whatnot. Then we go to the other bargain, is Frenzied. Non-boss enemies become frenzied at 30% health remaining, increasing their haste by 40%, but increasing their damage taken by 20%. So a form of bolstering and enraging, maybe, kind of where like they're getting the extra boost and cool, they only increase by 40%, but they end up taking that last 20% or last 30% of their health at 20% increased damage. So win-win all around. Starting at Keystone Level 7, a new affix, Challenger's Peril, directly affects the dungeon timer. This affix emphasizes precise play and strategic execution, placing greater risk on players' decisions. All right, cool, because, you know, that's at a +7, which is good because most of the, I think the third affix that currently is in Season 4 comes into effect at 10. So let's do it down, and then we're kind of making the lower level dungeons a little bit more, you know, harder, but have the keystone maybe not pushed to the 20s and 30s right off the start. So the Challenger's Peril is dying subtracts 15 seconds from the time remaining rather than 5. Oof. We've all been in those groups that we've started a dungeon and you just wipe. So if everybody's wiping, that's a lot of seconds. Math ain't happening here, guys. So you can figure that out on your own. But definitely something that's going to make you try be a little more careful, pay a little more attention, and kind of hopefully, you know, if you keep your deaths under a certain number, it won't really affect the motion of the dungeon. And then starting at Keystone level 12, a new affix replaces the bargain affixes. At this level, Xalatath revokes her bargains, empowering dungeon creatures with a 20% increase in health and damage, and that is the Guile. So she betrays us. Oh, when you're looking like that, how can you betray us? Revoking her bargains and increasing the health and damage of enemies by 20%. At a +12 though. So if we're thinking of anything, that comes way down the road. You get to play with the new affixes that, you know, can help you and only moderately hurt you. And then with the extra death timer coming in later down the road, that's no problem. So from Mythic 2 to Mythic 6, you got time to play around with the new ones, learn the dungeons, get better at your character, all those kind of things. Now, if you scroll down a little bit on this page, we see a little bit more about Fortified and Tyrannical, so let's have a look. Okay, when it comes to Fortified and Tyrannical, they now serve as milestone affixes that alternate between Keystones level 4 and 10 on a weekly rotation. We feel this provides us with clear points in the system where increases in difficulty and rewards occur. This also affords more distinction between key levels for players progressing through the system, and a consistent week-to-week experience for players progressing deeper into the Mythic Keystone system. So we're going to have a look at this beautiful little map here. So you get the Xalatath's Bargain, starts at a +2. Then once you get to your 4, you get your Fortified or Tyrannical. It'll alternate. So instead of coming right out of the gate with always having one, they come later down the road like they did back in the day. Then you jump to your Challenger's Peril, so that's your time hurt, get you deep. Then the other alternate of the other one. And then we, at a 12 and higher, we disable that bargain. And then we get her Guile. And then from there on out, you just keep pushing and pushing until you reach that, you know, hopefully quickly that 3k IO score. And, you know, everything that comes in the wild Mythic Plus system. So I'm going to say bear with it because I'm assuming more changes and more things will come about. But already within that couple weeks that have happened between when we heard about the new affixes, the changes to the old ones, and then here we are learning about an entire new system and a way they remapped the system. So if you liked all that information about Mythic Plus, make sure you get in there and give it a shot and play around so you can be ready for the War Within. And I'll catch you on my next video. See ya.